Welcome to the Tuesday Madness. I am your host, Explicit FPV. So let's get right into it. My watch is dead. Nope, it's 5:39. Real quick, Mama's making pizza, so I'm just gonna go over some fun. Oh, it's even gonna get more fun because I got a battery ready. Whip 2.0. It's getting an upgrade of the camera. That's the factory thing that came with the original diatone thing. Got the Cadex right here. I don't have the thing with me, do I? Does it say what it is? It's like the Turbo version 2 or some shit. I forgot what I got. But it's good. It's a 1200 TVL. Oh, it's right on the back. Does it say Turbo Micro 2? Yeah, it's the 1200 TVL 116.9. You get FPV, had them for like 20 bucks. So I figured it was time to put something that was a lot better with light transition for that guy. And then I'll kind of lead into, see the big dingle pop thing there? I swapped that out. What fun that was yesterday. Oh, excuse me. That's some Goose IPA right there. So I got to do a little test with that, see the range, and I'm assuming it'll be a million times better. Right hand polarized. Let's go back to this crazy deal real quick. I don't know why the lighting sucks in here. There we go. So, F-bomb got some new props. And you say, Chris, explicit, they're upside down. That is the only way, because, okay. So I'm going to call these things 3D props, because I am pretty sure that's what they're called. The factory props, which obviously a prop normally goes on the top and goes like that. See if I can focus. There we go. A little bit. These are actually upside down. They get popped on the bottom of the motor, so they are able to somehow still create thrust, even though that they're upside down. So it's like a 3D prop. Either way it goes, it is working the same way. If you take, let me see, I got some of the lumineers over here. If you take this beautiful, let's see if I can focus, this beautiful prop and put it upside down, and then try to create thrust with it, it don't work. It says explicit. I don't want to lift. I'm just going to sit here and scream and scream and scream and turn, and I ain't going to do shit. That's exactly what it did. Well, God bless, by being a knucklehead and just experimenting, there is a small hole, if you look above my thumb there, and the prop, like a little nipple. So, instead of putting them upside down, I made sure they're in the right direction, as in which way they're turning and which way would create thrust based on the pitch of the prop, and pushed them in through the top of the nipple there, giving you this crazy sort of cracked out praying mantis looking thing. And I did not push them all down yet, I just kind of did that. And it's kind of cool that it works that way because it gives just a little bit taller of a standoff, so launching off of something, it'll work good. So I should be able to launch off of something like this. And yeah, so I got a battery charging down in there. I'm going to try them out, see and compare thrust and all that fun stuff and control. And they are a touch bigger. See if I can give you a comparison here. Let's see, they call these yellow, but it's like a highlighter green color, which is super sweet. So we have here, if I can do this with my thumb and finger here. Oh, dumbass, I didn't grab a stock prop. Okay, let's go. Oh, I'm just knocking shit over. To give you a comparison, there. So it's like 2 1/4 to 2 1/2, something like that. There. Let's just not argue. There we go. Boom. So they're a little bit bigger, which puts them funny. Let's put this within the danger zone. I think if I bumped one of the motors and they went in, they'd hit, but you know, this is just a beater. So this guy's ready to go. I already did the quick just pop test and it flies. So we're good. On to the next. So I've been waiting a while for this thing, and I'm going to try to get some footage tonight or tomorrow. Tweeting! Look at that. So as I grow as a more cinematic kind of knucklehead, I got my hands on this very heavy cinebee. I've already modded it, taken it apart. I put the other lollipop on here. Did flight test yesterday as I took it apart so many times to try to move electronics, and I had a bad receiver in it. It bound, I got it perfect. It did a pop test in the room. Went and ate dinner, went to go outside and fly, and it was not. It was just doing this pulse and would not rebind, nothing. So I said F it, and I took out the Spectrum receiver that I have in there with the micro. Do I have it out? No, I don't. It had the tiny little antennas on it, and I had a full range Spectrum receiver, hence the huge bug antennas. So I put that in, and it bound, boom, it armed. So I went outside, ran outside, and went to go fly it, and I was getting no video signal. Now I'm losing my shit. So I flew it just line of sight and came inside to deal with it and pout and cry. I'm like, God, I broke it already. All that happened was because the boards are pinned together, I did not push it down far enough, so it did not make the connection and power up the VTX. So I had no video, but it's back to normal. This thing is completely jello free from all the millions of reviews I've OCD watched. There's no touching parts. The camera angle is at a right spot so it doesn't hit up top here. From my view and the small footage that I got from line of sight, I saw no jello, and it was not bright and sunny. So if that's the case, I'll just get a ND filter, ND8 or something like that. Like I said, I got the Fox Ear Lollipop version 2. I love the color. It's got like a little pearl. Like, I hate when my wife says that, like. But it's got a cool little pearl on it. I had to reroute based on the way that this receiver was set up. I could not. If anybody else has ever had one of these and understands that there's weird holes in the back for the chutes for the receiver, I could not use those. I could not bend it. So I had them come up through, and then I poked a hole where you can see it right here with the soldering iron, and then poke through. So I got it there. The receiver is crowbarred in there, as you can see. The plug, where's my finger? I'm pointing at the phone and not the... There's the plug for the receiver. It's not. It's a little bit bigger, so it's kind of just pressed in there. One thing I'm dying to know, and I emailed iFlight and Albert Kim, because he's done a couple reviews on these things, to try to figure out. I don't like OSD. Oh yeah, on-screen display. I don't use it. I don't need it. I'm going to wire the beeper in, so that's the only thing I care about is when the battery gets low. So I'll have the beeper. I did find the pinout for it. There's a button on here, which I'm assuming changes the channel frequency, and it's supposedly supposed to change the power of the VTX. Now the kids are coming up the stairs. So using that button, I need to know where it's at right now, as in VTX power, and I'm only going to run it at 100. I don't need it at 200 for the distance that I'm going to fly this thing. The 100 is more than enough, especially, you know, keeping it close, because you don't want to fly something super small that far away. So I need to figure out, with the button presses and probably the LEDs giving you an idea of where it's at, where the hell I'm at. So I need to, if somebody knows, somebody please reach out and give me a quick description of long press, short press, and what color the LEDs need to be, because there's pit mode, which shuts it off. 50, 100, 200, if I'm correct. Quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. I'm not using it through my controller to change it. I'm fine with just setting it and leaving it, because again, I don't need the OSD. I don't need how long I'm flying or the battery, any of that crap. Once it starts beeping, it tells me to come in, boom, I'm good. But yeah, so I got the battery charged for this. I'm gonna go fly it. I'd love to find, not that I care, you know, aesthetically, it looks cool with the white. Oh yeah, I'll get into that in a minute. I'd love to find carbon fiber versions of these. These are the props that came on it. I already bought props which are buried in the case I made for it already, like that one. I'm going to go with the gemfans. I have the tri-blades, and then I will get the 4-blade ones also to match. But yeah, it'd be cool to find different color if they make 3D printed. These are actually pretty strong. They take a good hit. Not that this thing's going to go flying, because I'm not buying this to go super fast. So I'm not worried about these breaking. But a lot of people have been top mounting. I am running... Do I have a battery out? No. Yes, I can actually just take it off the charger right here. Let's see here if I can do this. Let me throw you down. Actually, just button. Yeah, got a mouth for something. So I'm gonna run these, the 650 milliamp. They're a little bigger than probably needed. The flight test I did with them yesterday, the thing just still got up and moved and punched. Did I just zoom in? Let me just zoom out. Yep. They have quite the punch. I'm going to create some form of a rubber band thing. I got to take this cover off. But I flew it around yesterday and flew it somewhat aggressive, and using that crazy Scotch Sherlock tape, that battery didn't go anywhere. So I'm going to actually experiment with sticking it here and sticking it up top and see what the characteristics are with it flying. I've already adjusted the PIDs just a bit to kind of where my general idea is, where I like them. And then I want to eliminate any of the twitchiness. I'm not going to be flying this real fast and need it super aggressive, so I am not going to adjust the RC rate or the super rate, but I may add some expo to actually slow down my stick movement just a little bit to try to smooth out and give you that really cinematic footage. Oh yeah, that's the guy's name. It is the Cinewhoop, but I call him Mr. Cinematic because I'm a nutcase and I add a name to every freaking thing I fly. It's just kind of a thing. So yeah, let me get that battery on Mr. Cinematic, and I'm gonna go out and rip. Like everybody else, as soon as you plug in a battery, it starts recording, and it definitely does that. Like everybody says, this thing's a major pain in the ass to get it in and out. It does spring load and lock in, but it could pop out in a crash. I kind of bent this thing back just a little bit, but I mean, you could come up with some form of something to go over the top of this that's a lot easier than this pain in the balls. But either way, I appreciate y'all watching. Stay tuned for some really kick-ass footage from Mr. Cinematic and this crazy crackhead frickin' Frankenstein thing. You'll get some more footage out of this guy because he's super stable. I love how it flew, even with a little bit of breeze going through the swing set and stuff. I mean, it was just dialed in. Really enjoyed it a lot. So this will bring me a lot of happiness, and it's crazy looking. It's a good conversation piece. Oh, somebody's texting me about bowling. Cool. So let me go eat some dinner. Go fly. Word out.